Good morning. It is July 5th. I'm just going to change my view here so I can see comments. There we are. Good morning. It is July 5th. Hope that you all had a wonderful 4th of July weekend, long weekend. Welcome to the coffee chat. I'm going to just kind of stall for a few seconds here to see if we've got some people logging in and checking in. And then we're going to go over some information. We've got some good information this morning about some stuff that's going on in Largo, some stuff that's happened. Good morning, Edlin. It's good to see you. So this is the first Monday of July, or first Tuesday of July. And so this is our virtual coffee chat. We're also having, typically we'll have a coffee chat later in the month that's in person. So this in-person coffee chat will be later than normal. I think it's going to be the last Tuesday of the month, which I believe is the 26th. So I hope you can join me in person on the 26th for a coffee chat. We had a good group a couple of weeks ago. Some of my broadcasting team is shaking their head at me. Yeah. So let's take a look. Let us know if you were able to go out to the fireworks yesterday at Largo Central Park. We had a good crowd. It rained for about an hour around 6 o'clock. Some heavy rain just briefly and some lightning around. So I think some folks cleared out and then came back, and the park was completely full by the time it got dark and the fireworks went off. So there was a really good crowd, great fireworks. And there was food vendors. There was great music. I'd like to thank Indian Rocks Baptist Church, who sponsored the fireworks this year. They have done that for a few years now. And then also the music. We had 2 live bands, and they were great. And the music was sponsored by Tommy's Car Wash, so I'd like to thank them as well. And also thank to Kara, the special events coordinator, and her whole team, parks people, the police department, anybody that I missed that was out there helping out. Even to the sound guy, we had a new sound person that helped us with the music, and they used to have just a bunch of speakers up by the stage, and it sounded so much better in the park. You could hear the talking as well as the music very clearly throughout the park, so it was done really well. So I hope you were able to make it. Good morning, Joan. So I'm seeing a couple comments. I'm on dashboard now. Good. So because yesterday was a holiday, the solid waste schedule for residential pickup is a little bit off this week. If you were supposed to have a pickup today, you're going to get it tomorrow. So all of Monday's residential pickup is bumped ahead to Tuesday, and all of Tuesday's residential pickup is bumped ahead to Wednesday. The second day of the week is not affected, so it's kind of normal for, this is the normal schedule for like Labor Day and Memorial Day. So the first pickup is just bumped ahead, and that's just for residential. This doesn't affect commercial pickup at all. No change at all for commercial. So, as you know, hurricane season, we're in the beginning of hurricane season. There was a named storm that was skirting along the east coast of the United States this past week, the end of the week, and we are in hurricane season. We will be having, on Saturday, July 19th, we will be having the Largo Fire Rescue Hurricane Preparedness Expo, and that's from 9 to 11 at the library in the Jenkins Room. As soon as you go in the library, just past the cafe, take a right, and it's right there. We'll have some special, exciting things there provided by the fire department. We'll also have Dennis Phillips, the meteorologist, Dennis Phillips joining us to give us some insight, tell us a little bit about what he expects to happen, and also pose for some pictures, I'm sure, since he's somewhat of a local celebrity. So that is Saturday, July 19th, from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock at the Largo Library in the Jenkins Room. We have some news, city news, where we've signed a contract to purchase, the city has signed a contract to purchase the former Pinecrest Golf Course. The owner, from my understanding, has been trying to sell that for some time. There are some challenges with that property because there's no development rights on the property. The development rights were sold or contributed several years ago when the Pinecrest place, which is now Brookdale, it might be something different now, the retirement facility right there, was built. They used all the development rights from the whole property, so you can't build any structures on it. But our plan, and good morning, Marcia. Our plan is to investigate the feasibility of using that area for a regional stormwater retention to help make that part of the city more resilient to rainwater, to help with the Medical Arts District and do some regional stormwater from the Medical Arts District to encourage more development in that Medical Arts District around Largo Med and Diagnostic Clinic and the Eye Center. So it could be a really cool thing, and it end up being a passive park with a lake kind of adjacent to the Taylor Park. It'll serve a lot of purpose for stormwater resiliency and retention, but it'll also be a nice little park. And we're doing our due diligence. We haven't closed on it yet, but we are under contract to buy that. Let me see. These comments are a little bit funky this morning. So what else? There's an election coming up. You probably have seen that. We are just about to enter the qualifying period for candidates. It ends the middle of this month, the middle of July. There are 4 seats up for election. Alexa just thought I said Alexa. There are 4 seats.
From an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. Of course, my name
Thank you.
So
that backfired. So the election is on the election qualifying ends in the middle of July. In order for a candidate to qualify, they have to sign up through the city, and then they have to get petition cards signed by registered voters. So some of the candidates you may see out, I saw a couple at Largo Central Park for the 4th of July, getting some of those petition cards signed. Right now we have a couple contested seats, I think. We should have some elections or some voting in November. Of course, qualifying's not over yet, so anything could happen. Good morning, Mike. Let me see. There's also going to be 2 resolutions, most likely, on the ballot. They've passed first reading, and they'll be at second reading in a couple weeks. The first resolution is for the Horizon Building, the home of the new City Hall in downtown. As you know, I think I've talked about this before. That building is going to be a mixed-use building. So some of the first floor, or most of the first floor of both the parking garage and the Horizon Building will be commercial space for restaurants, for a coffee shop. Maybe we have a coffee chat over there. So we have in our ordinances, or in our charter, we're required to have a referendum for any lease over 5 years in the city of Largo. Well, the first referendum on the ballot this year is to exempt that Horizon Building from that requirement, and here's the reason: the space is going to be vacant space. It's going to be just like a big commercial building. It's going to be essentially dirt floor, block walls, cement walls, and then so a restaurant or whatever user can come in and build it out exactly how they want. It's the way they build new construction commercial buildings. So nobody's going to do that with a 5-year lease. Nobody's going to invest millions of dollars to finish out a restaurant on a 5-year lease. So our hope is that the city residents understand that and help us have a better product for the commercial space on the first floor. So that's one of the resolutions. The other one is concerning a proposed development. A group called Porter Development approached the city about using Lot 14, which is the previous landfill. It's kind of out between the library and the nature preserve. It's about 85 acres, and they've made an interesting proposal about a recreation area. So they would have what's called a crystal lagoon. I suspect, which is the Horizon building. Jim, I'll get to that in a second. I suspect if you may not have been to a crystal lagoon, but you should look it up. My wife Jenny and I took a drive out just to take a look at one a week ago because I was interested to see what this developer was talking about. It's really pretty neat. So that, as well as a pickleball area and a multi-use gymnasium type building that will hold. It'll be able to host basketball and indoor volleyball tournaments, probably some gymnastics, other stuff as well. So that's all on Lot 14, which is an old landfill. I think it was closed back about 50 years ago. But their proposal is to come and stabilize it and clean it up. And obviously, if they're putting a crystal lagoon in there, they'd have to excavate some of that stuff and get it out of there too. So the referendum is to allow the city to sell that landfill to this developer for that development. So you'll soon be able to find out more information about the plans. The plans have changed somewhat in response to some of the neighboring neighborhoods' concerns about proximity and noise and traffic flow and that type of stuff. So it's certainly changing. I'm pleased actually that the developer has changed the plan several times in reaction to some concerns from the library and some of the neighbors. So that's a good thing. That doesn't always happen with developers. So what else is going on? Let me flip the page here. Oh, I did mention it's hurricane zone, so I wanted to give you some tips, some hurricane tips about that can help you prepare. First is know your zone. Some of the evacuation zones have changed because some of the FEMA maps have changed. So if you are in an evacuation zone, you need to know which one it is, what letter it is, so that if there's a named storm coming, they will usually say you need to evacuate if you're in this zone or that zone. So if you're in a mobile home, that's a zone A, regardless of elevation. Most of the rest is based on elevation. So we always, all the emergency planners, they tell you to hide from the wind and run from the rain. And what they mean by that is that if you live in a newer structure that is hurricane resistant or wind resistant, you can stay and not evacuate. You're probably not in an evacuation zone, so you hide from the wind. If you're 8 feet above sea level, you want to get out of there because the storm surge is likely to come up and get inside your building. So make a plan as far as evacuation. If you live in a low-lying area, even for a tropical storm, you'll probably have to evacuate. So it's much better to evacuate to a family or some other place on land than to go to a shelter. Shelters aren't necessarily comfortable. So make that plan now, and then build a kit. So if you are likely going to stay for some of the storms, what most people plan on doing is if it's up through a category 2, they might stay. If they're up and out of an evacuation zone, if it's a higher, they'll go across the state to stay with family where the hurricane's not supposed to hit. That type of plan. But make that plan and then build a kit so that if you do stay, you've got water, you've got non-perishable food, you've got flashlights, maybe an electric radio and extra batteries and that type of stuff. You can find lists for kits on the internet. So Jim asked about which is the Horizon building. The city is embarking on building a new City Hall building, which is called the Horizon building because it's a mixed-use building in the downtown area at 4th and West Bay Drive. The plan was to break ground this summer. I think it's going to be this fall, primarily because, as you probably know, the cost of construction has gone up quite a bit. I think our initial estimates went up by, when the contractor came back with a guaranteed maximum price, it had gone up by about 25%, which when you're talking about a project of this scale, that's a lot of money. So we've had the designer and the contractor, the builder, work together for some value engineering without affecting the integrity or the look of the building. And we've also looked at where we can find a little bit more money to kind of meet in the middle on that. So there are some components that we're not going to do on the building. Some that if we still want to do them, we can phase that in later. I'll give you an example. We're considering not doing all of the solar that we're going to put on the top of the building. So that's going to be starting this fall in downtown at the 400 block, which is at the light, the northwest corner at the light of 4th and West Bay Drive. So that's a Horizon building. There's about, I think the number is 20,000, maybe it's 18,000 square feet of retail on the first floor, as well as a parking garage that's attached with a breezeway, and it's going to be really nice. I'll post a link so you can take a look at it. A lot of folks ask, why are you building a new city hall? This started about 6 years ago when we were looking at the long-term sustainability and efficiency of our existing city hall, which was built as an insurance headquarters, and it would have cost us about, at the time, about $15 million. I'm sure that number's gone up, but to retrofit that building, and we still would have been in a building that wasn't super efficient. So we decided to look at building a new multi-use building in downtown. So that will break ground in the next couple months. So does anybody have any questions for me? That's all. I did look at COVID numbers. I know it's kind of weird I didn't start out with COVID numbers. The numbers have kind of leveled off in Pinellas County. Last week we had about 3,000 new cases, very few hospitalizations, very few deaths in the state. There are still people dying from COVID in this state, or dying with COVID, depending on your perspective, I guess. But it seems to be much less substantial as far as symptoms for people. But there's still a lot of people getting COVID. It's down a whole lot from the peak at the last kind of rise in cases, the Delta variant. It's down quite a bit from that, but it is up from the beginning of the year. But it seems to be pretty stable. It doesn't look like it's spiking. And then the hospital numbers in this area all are what you would expect. They're kind of at, Phil, I'll answer that in just a second. They're all at about 80 to 90%, and that's kind of a staffing thing where they pull back staffing once they have less patients. So Phil asked, what happens with the existing City Hall structure? If you've been to City Hall, you probably know that there's a main City Hall building, and there's a police department to the north and west of that City Hall building. It's attached by a long hallway. The police department is going to stay where it is. Good morning, Ginny. And the existing City Hall structure is going to be leveled and scraped. So that property is going to be cleared. We're actually starting the process of replatting the property so that The police department, like right now, the police department's property line is about 5 feet off of the building, so we're going to push that out a little bit so there's more of a buffer between the residential and the police department over there. But then that property, it's a pretty decent sized property where City Hall is going to be sold for residential development. I expect probably it could be single family homes. We haven't really seen any plans yet. I'm going to go to this question in a second. I can't see who. Marshall, I'll ask about this, or I'll answer that in a second. Good morning, Marcia. We will potentially, it's probably going to be something in the townhomes, maybe even a small apartment area in the very front with townhomes in the back, but that has yet to be decided. I'm going to scroll down for Marcia's question. With the probability of increase in traffic around the new construction area as well as multifamily housing up and undercurrent constructions. So, roundabout, speed bumps, etc. Yeah, this is a conversation. That's a good question, Marcia. This is a conversation that I have on the regular with our staff as well as our city manager. As you know, Marcia, people like to cut down first along the railroad tracks and then down Fourth. We need to help that. First is going to be redone after construction is complete, and we have to redesign that so that it isn't a straight shot run. And it could be with speed bumps. It could be with some meandering design or even a roundabout. I'm not sure where we put a roundabout over there, but something to help reduce the speed of cut-through traffic and discourage cut-through traffic. And there's several examples. Good morning, Kara. Hey, great job with the fireworks yesterday. You and your team did a wonderful job, and it was amazing how right after the rain stopped and the sun came back out, just people came from every direction into the park. To fill up every available green space for some great fireworks. So it was cool. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, Marcia, on how we can help manage the traffic around the new City Hall and some of the residential development that's coming in the downtown area. So that is my list. I'm going to give it just a few seconds to see if there are any more questions. I will say, Marcia, that we have, you probably know this, but we've put in some speed bumps in a couple areas where there was some cut-through traffic challenges, and I think it's been relatively successful. It's not going to stop some people from going real fast anyway, but it's been relatively successful. Personally, I like roadways that are just designed for slower traffic in neighborhoods rather than putting a speed bump across a big wide road. If you think about the roadway that goes between Highland Rec and the community center, it goes right through the middle of the Palms of Largo. That's a public roadway, but it's designed so that you feel like driving really slow on that road, and it's pretty darn effective. Good morning, Debbie. So a little bit more of that, I think, would go a long way on some of these roadways. But I'm going to wrap it up. I thank you all for being here with me this morning for our coffee chat. If you guys have any questions for me, I think I already said good morning, Debbie. It popped up again, though. Yeah, I know, Dan. Danny Lehan says the lights are not timed appropriately on Bay Drive. I don't know why we have to poke the county. The county controls the timing of all the lights. The one at 4th and West Bay is you can sit there for this whole. Somebody could have been sitting there this whole coffee chat at that light probably, and just now be getting a green light. So we'll have to reach out to the county again and have them take a look at that. If you have, Danny, a specific light that you think is just out of whack, send me a message and I'll look into that as well. Scott, good morning, Scott. Scott wanted me to to remind everybody about the Hurricane Preparedness Expo. With the Hurricane Preparedness Expo is on July 19th at the Jenkins Room at the Largo Library. It's from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock. Please join us and special guest meteorologist Dennis Phillips there. Stacy, when Duke Energy has tree branches cut away from the power lines, it bumped down. Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have any. I wish we did. We don't have any. The electric company is allowed to do whatever they want to those trees, even if they're old oak trees, if they're within a certain distance from the power line. So they can make them look awful. One thing that we've done is, if you notice along Central Park Drive, for example, we took out oak trees there and replaced them with crepe myrtles, which are still pretty trees. They just don't get nearly as tall, so Duke won't come through and clear cut them. But yeah, we don't. The city or the county has zero control over the tree trimming done by utility companies. So I agree, it doesn't look great, and there's nothing we can do about it other than plant more appropriate trees so they don't grow up, at least in our right of ways. So, or rights of way, I guess is what it would be. I hope you all have a great week. I know or just a reminder, it's Tuesday today because yesterday you had a day off. And if you have a question, please post it here and I'll do my best to answer it. Have a great afternoon.
What are you doing?
Me? I'm just throwing out some food scraps. Who are you?
I'm Captain Compost from Keep Pinellas Beautiful. Did you know that about half of household waste is organic material? Instead of throwing it out, compost it.
Compost? What's that?
Compost is when you turn yard waste and food waste into nutrient-rich fertilizer.
Wow, that sounds pretty difficult.
It's pretty easy, thanks to the City of Largo and Keep Pinellas Beautiful Community Compost Program. Setting up your compost bin is as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, choose a location for your bin where moisture can drain. Second, assemble your bin. Simply attach the harvest door, place the pegs into the ground, and attach the lid. Third, when you're ready, get started with some yard debris in the bottom. And then, add layers of food scraps and more yard debris on top. Mix every 2 weeks, and in a few months, you should have some great soil that your plants and trees will love. See? Wasn't that easy? Using compost as fertilizer retains water better, doesn't have any chemicals, and is healthier for plants.
I'm ready to start composting. Are you? To learn more about composting and how you can get a free bin from the City of Largo, check out largorecycles.com. Thanks, Captain Compost.